Hey there, fellow warriors. Tyson here, coming at you from North Battleford, Saskatchewan. So basically, um, you come to Canada and just keep going north, and you'll find me eventually. A week or so ago, Jason had asked if I'd do a quick little video on how I met Michael Landsberg and how we basically became friends. So I'll try to get through it quick and painless. So this isn't some drawn out monotone type video or nothing. Um, so for those guys, because I know there are a bunch of guys from the States and stuff that might not know who Michael Landsberg is. He hosted a show on TSN, and here in Canada, TSN is one of our major sports networks. And he hosted a show for almost 20 years called Off the Record. Now, when 20 years ago, when the show first started, I watched it religiously. Over the years, as time went on, life went on, it basically became a show that I only watched when there was nothing else on. The one thing you're gonna notice in this whole story is TV is a pretty common factor. So I always tell people, if anyone bitches at me for watching too much TV, TV saved my life, so I owe it to TV to watch it. So anyways, I've suffered from depression probably since I was 16, 17 years old. I'm 41 now. My depression for a good part of my life was, my brain in my head. Basically, I call it giving me putting in fleeting thoughts. So, every once in a while throughout the day, I might get a little, my brain kind of speak up and say, geez, man, you really suck. How's it feel being such a disappointment to everyone? And it basically, that's how it was. As soon as that thought came in, it would be gone just as quick. And it it talked to me kind of like in a voice I'm talking to you now. That all came to an explosion, if you will, in 2009, and I guess I could compare it to, you get in your car and you're going to work, going to run errands, and so as you're driving, you got the music going, right? You got the tunes pumping, volume up, everything. You get to where you're going, you go do what you got to do. You get back in your car, you turn it on, and you damn near shit yourself because you forgot to turn the volume down when you turned the car off, and your stereo is just screaming at you. And that was my depression in 2009. It stopped being that kind of normal, sometimes whisper of a voice, and became a constant 24/7 screaming in my head, my brain basically screaming at me that, Tyson, you're such a fuck up. You're disappointing everybody. You're causing nothing but stress to everybody in your life. And I went through that year living with my brain telling me this every day, all night. And it came to a point where I decided, I picked the day that I was going to end my life. The night before, I wrote letters to, my parents, to ex-wife, to an ex-girlfriend, I believe, and probably the hardest letter I've ever written was to my daughter, who was 6 at the time. And so the day after I wrote those letters, that was the day I picked to kill myself. And then, call it whatever you want, divine intervention, fate. I call it fate, whatever. I got up that day, and I spent some of it just getting things in order, getting everything set up to how I wanted it. and basically waiting for this switch to go off in my head to say, okay, Tyson, go do it. It's time. Um, at some point in the day, in the afternoon, that switch hadn't gone off yet. I could feel the wheels in motion, you could say, that, it felt like it was getting close, but it just didn't feel like it was the time just yet. And I turned on the TV, and it just so happened, Michael Landsberg show Off the Record was on, or was just starting. And as fate would have it, there was nothing else on TV that day. So I watched, and his guest that day was a guy by the name of Stéphane Richer. Um, those of you who are hockey fans might know who he is. Those of you who aren't, he played in the NHL a bunch of years. He won a Stanley Cup with Montreal Canadiens and New Jersey Devils. And he also suffered from depression. And he had never spoken publicly about it. Michael Landsberg had suffered from depression. He had never spoken publicly about it. This particular day, they decided, let's talk about it. They talked for maybe 2 minutes. After that show aired, Landsberg's email pops up on the bottom of the screen. And for whatever reason, I thought, this guy needs to know that this show is going to have a huge impact on somebody. This show is going to save someone's life. Little did I know at the time, right? So I just sent him this email basically saying that, and thinking that, he's not going to see it for 6 months. And, there might be a reply to me at that time saying, hey, thanks for watching the show, kind of thing. But by then, who cares, right? Because I'm going to be gone anyway. And literally less than 5 minutes later, I get a reply. Me and Michael spent an hour or so that afternoon, shared 7 or 8 emails. I didn't tell him at that time what my plan was that day. Needless to say, obviously, I didn't go through with that plan. I remember I woke up the next day, and I actually felt better. And I felt better because I had talked about it. And it felt so good to finally, because that was the first time I'd ever told another human being what I had been going through, what I'd been living with. And I hadn't even told him everything. But just getting what I did get out was a really good feeling. And I coasted on that feeling. I still didn't go get help. I didn't do nothing. I coasted on that kind of feel good feeling. And then I hit another crisis maybe a month or so later, where I ended up on the mental health ward in my local hospital for, around a week and a half or 2 weeks or so. And ever since then, going to therapy all the time, and therapy is what's worked for me. I consider myself one of the lucky ones that I haven't had to take medication. For me, talking has been the best medicine. So, fast forward about 3 years or so later, again, watching TV, commercial comes on, there's Landsberg, and me and him hadn't spoken since that first day, when I first emailed him. And this was a commercial for Bell Let's Talk Day, which is a huge mental health initiative here in Canada. Bell Canada donates 5 cents for every tweet or hashtag that says Bell Let's Talk Day for that day. And Michael was one of their spokespeople. And so I'm watching this commercial, and then I thought, I should send this guy an email, let him know how I'm doing. I doubt he remembers me. He did. And again, we conversed a little bit, and I told him what my actual plan was that first day when I first emailed him. And that began, this initial kind of friendship, and he was doing an article for TSN, and he asked if he could share my story in that article. And I said, sure. At which point, through all this, I should mention that Michael Landsberg was still the only human being other than my therapist that I had ever told what I had been through. My family didn't know, friends didn't know, nothing. So he sends me an advanced copy of this article, and at that point I decide, I better sit down with my parents and stuff, because this is going to be on the internet. People are going to share it on social media, the whole 9 yards. This might be something they want to hear from me first, right? And I did that. Again, I have an amazing family, amazing friends, super supportive. The article came out, and a little while later, he asked me to do an interview on off the record, a little kind of video story. And I think I posted that shortly after I joined the group here. And we did that. And then it obviously got out again all over social media and stuff. So, people all over were, I just had tremendous support from people. It was really incredible. And me and Michael would talk on and off, had never met face to face. Even for this interview I did for him, it was basically over the phone. A cameraman had come to my apartment, and we talked over the phone, but I'd never met him face to face. Again, a couple of years later, in 2014, watching TV, that's becoming a real trend for me. And a commercial, and there's him and Mike Babcock, the head coach of Toronto Maple Leafs, and they're doing a commercial for a huge fundraiser that was being put on in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, which is about an hour and a half from here. So I texted him right away, and I said, hey man, I'd love to go to this fundraiser. It'd be nice for us to finally meet. He loved the idea, everything else. I told she was my girlfriend at the time, my wife now, about it. And I told her, I don't even care if the tickets to this thing are a couple $100. We're going. And she was like, yeah, for sure, And so I go on the internet, and I Google the project that's putting this fundraiser together, and I go into the tickets, and then it hit me like a ton of bricks, because the tickets for this fundraiser, this wasn't a bake sale, this wasn't a garage sale or any type of minor fundraiser. This was a major fundraiser. Just to get in the doors was $1,000 a plate. So as soon as I see that, I kind of sit back, I shoot Michael a text, and I say, I really hope to God that you can find 5 minutes to meet me out front and have a coffee, because there's no way in hell I can pay $1,000 to go to this fundraiser. Well, lo and behold, again, Michael has connections. The doctor who was putting this fundraiser on with Mike Babcock calls me up, and we talk, and I shared with her, and she then mentions that she has a couple donors that donated a couple tickets, and she would be honored if me and Pam, it's my now wife, would go. And I was floored. I mean, obviously this is going to be something else. I mean, I'm from Saskatchewan. I've never hobnobbed with high society types or nothing. The dress code for this event is prairie chic, they called it, which is basically comfortable. Wear whatever's comfortable for you. So we go to this fundraiser. We're standing in this, they called it the Champagne VIP room. I'm drinking a beer out of a champagne glass. That's how fancy this fucking place is. There's, celebrities, well-known people walking all over, most of them in clothes that would probably be a 6 month salary for me. And there I am standing there looking great, mind you, in a white golf shirt I picked up at Walmart and camouflage cargo shorts. And I looked fantastic. But to some people, I might have looked a little out of place. It was one of the most incredible nights of my life. Um, Michael talked during that fundraiser, and he talked about my story, and he had me stand up, and I stand up, and I kind of give this awkward wave, and I sit back down, and next thing I know, every person in that room is standing up, clapping, cheering. These are people that, like I said, they make more in a day, some of them, than I make in a year. I mean, you know, these are celebrities. These are well-known people, fancy people, and they're standing for me. They're giving me this standing ovation. And I'm sitting there, and I look up at Pam because she's standing next to me, and I kind of say to her, like, what the fuck do I do here? She's like, I don't know. So I stand back up and I give another wave. And I just kind of stand there awkward for a bit, and we sit down, and they never sat down. They just kept clapping for a while. It was one of the most amazing experiences of my life. And it was just a great night. And I finally that night got to meet Michael. And I'm telling you, that initial hug when we first met was incredible. It was like we'd been friends our whole life. Fast forward again a couple of years, me and Pam got married. This was last September, and I had asked Michael to be a part of my wedding, to be a groomsman, and he agreed. And sure enough, he came down, and where we got married is in a very rural part of Saskatchewan. A lot of farming and, just a back roads kind of area in Saskatchewan. So it was really neat to see this Toronto guy, this big city boy in farm territory. And it was, I mean, just the fact he showed up was amazing. He has become an amazing friend, confidant. We talk often. He has since started a started a charity, if you will, called Sick Not Weak. They have a website, sicknotweak.com, a great site. Everyone should check it out, I think. A lot of videos on there and stories from people. Just, and I mean, I'm going to end it there because I don't want to keep going. It's already been 18 minutes, but, just a really, really great cause, Sick Not Weak, just like this group is. I hope to be a little more active with this group here now that I'm on a couple days off. So, yeah, that's the story of how me and Michael Landsberg became friends. And I hope you guys are having a great day. It's absolutely gorgeous here today. So I'm going to go out and enjoy coffee on the deck and blow up a little swimming pool I bought for my 3-year-old. And that 6-year-old daughter I wrote that letter to back in 2009 is now 14, and she's one of my biggest fans. I'm one of hers. She was my rock. She was there for me before Pam ever came into my life. Because of that day, because I reached out, I am now married with a second child. I used to say to everybody, or how I say it to everybody now is, I spent most of my life being rejected by women. Now I'm surrounded by them, and I fucking love it. The best thing I ever did was reach out. Anyone out there, boys, anyone out there struggling, you think you're alone, you're not. There are so many of us who've been where you are, maybe not to the extent, but you're going to find people in this group that you relate to. Talk to them, share with everybody, because that's the main message. You are not alone. So have a great day, guys. It's been fun.